This is All India Radio. In the program Spotlight, now we bring you a discussion on Cabinet decision for giving a boost to tourism in India. The participants are Dr. Subhash Goyal, tourism and hospitality sector expert, and Ruchika Chitravanshi, journalist.
The Union Cabinet on Wednesday has enhanced the corpus of sovereign guaranteed credit facility for small enterprises. Now, most of the benefit of this emergency credit line guarantee scheme, also known as the ECLGS, will be for the hospitality sector. Dr. Goyal, can you explain us what exactly is this emergency credit line guarantee scheme and what is the quantum of help that the sector can expect?
During COVID, million people had lost their jobs. And the tour operators, the small transporters, tourist guides, they were really suffering very badly. Some tour operators have also gone bankrupt. So the government had announced way back this credit limit about 50,000 crores. They had 30,000 crores they had announced initially. It was like a sovereign guarantee so that the banks can give loans without any collaterals. But when we went to the banks, some of the banks were not aware. I think then the government directive came. It came a little late. So a lot of people were not able to utilize these loans because already there is no business. And if there is no business, on top of it, we take a loan. It is not an interest-free loan. Only thing is you don't have to give a collateral. And the loan was given to those people who were already availing of some bank limits. So I think definitely has benefited hoteliers because hoteliers' business has started, domestic tourism has started, and they will be able to give the interest and they will be able to refurbish. But the small operator who has no business, so if he gets a loan, even if there is a sovereign guarantee by the government, why should he take a loan and go into a debt trap? I have asked a few tour operators that how this announcement, they say it is of no benefit to the tour operators. Although the government's intention is very good and we are thankful to the government for announcing this, but I don't think it is going to be of much benefit to the small and medium operators.
So just for the benefit of our listeners, the guaranteed cover will be expanded by 50,000 crore to a total of 5 lakh crore. And the sector, obviously, that will help our travel, tourism and hospitality sector. Now, you're saying that the small units will not be able to make as much use of it and it will be the bigger hospitality chains who will be able to take benefit of this. What more were you expecting to be done? How can in these troubled times, as you said, that COVID has impacted, and globally COVID has impacted tourism, not just in India?
All the countries in the world have either given interest-free loans or they have given grants. Now, we have not got any grant, but at least we were expecting interest-free soft loans for a time-bound period, and then they could be returned when the business becomes normal. I think business has slowly started picking up, but it has not picked up the way it was in 2019. It's a good gesture on behalf of the government. Those who can afford to take it and who didn't have collaterals but the business has started working, for them it's beneficial. But those whose business has not started working, they have taken a loan earlier, they take another loan, and ultimately the interest has to be paid along with the principal.
As you said, that tourism is picking up now, and these facilities could help the business enterprises to meet operational liabilities and continue their business. This is what government is saying. To what extent do you think this operational liability
I think it will definitely benefit about 40 to 50% of the big operators and hoteliers, but I don't think this is going to benefit the small and medium operators. That's my take on this.
The small and medium enterprises, do you think they are beyond rescuing now, or how bad has the impact been of the pandemic? What can be done besides giving them interest-free loans at this moment to help them out?
We have given a lot of suggestions to the government. We had suggested that just like various other countries have done, you should give an interest-free loan, number one. Number two, you should give tax rebates at least for 1 or 2 financial years. There should be no tax. And thirdly, what we had suggested, even for hotels and other things, that the electricity charges, even when the offices or the hotels were closed, the electricity charges were quite exorbitant and there was no waive off in those charges. And even when there were no bars were functioning, there was no discount on the license fee. I think the government intentions are very good, but the wearer of the shoe knows where it pinches. So they should take the suggestions of the Indian Association of Tour Operators, the other bodies like Travel Agents Federation, Travel Agents, and also the restaurant owners and other people in the industry. The tourist guides have not got anything, particularly their foreign language guides. and their livelihood is dependent on tourism. We need to aggressively do digital marketing, which we have not done as our neighboring countries have started doing, like Dubai, Malaysia, Singapore, Thailand, Maldives, Mauritius. All these countries are aggressively marketing because this is a good opportunity for India because China is not there and Eastern Europe also because of the war. This is a very good opportunity.
Is it also because for countries like Maldives, etc., tourism is a very big contributor to their overall economy and their GDP? What is the situation in India?
In 2019, we earned about $50 billion in foreign exchange. And there were directly about 60 million people and indirectly about 75 million people who were employed in the tourism industry. A lot of them have lost their jobs, and now to revive the industry will take time. And this has given some hope, but it is little too late. And with the interest being charged by the banks, the same interest, if it is at a LIBOR or 1 or 2% interest, it is understandable. But if the same interest is being charged and only government sovereign guarantees that no collateral should be taking place, so it will help a little bit in the working capital, but how does one repay? The business is not there. So we need to start aggressively getting more business into India.
There are two main challenges that you've pointed out, two main demands actually. One is obviously the interest-free loans, and the other thing is saying is that we need to get more aggressively into the digital marketing, which brings me to the demand side of things. As you're saying that you're seeing that tourism demand is coming back, what is the kind of demand you're seeing? I mean, from which sectors?
Domestic travel has really picked up. That is why a lot of hotels don't need this money. I won't call it an eyewash, but maybe some people take benefit of it. It sounds good in the media, but if you take the practical side of it, I think it is too late and too little. At the same time, there's a pent-up demand. 2 years people have not traveled and they're traveling now aggressively within the country because international airfares are more than 200% than what they were in 2019. For example, to come to India from Canada used to be about $700-800 and now it is about $2,000. So who will come? So plus on top of it, the government has removed the capping which was there on domestic flights. With the result, when the peak season will come, airfares will skyrocket. As it is, domestic hotel fares have skyrocketed. So that is also discouraging international travelers to come in. And only the very rich who can afford to pay these high fares in resort hotels like 20,000, 30,000 a night, and even in places like Kashmir, 40,000 a night is very prohibitive. And we need to have a complete integrated growth rather than these ad hoc announcements.
We're still seeing COVID-19 cases increasing in Delhi. There is talk of monkeypox virus. Do you think that the demand will now stabilize, or do you think that there can be a further threat to the industry from these external factors as well?
No, it all depends on the government. If government suddenly puts restrictions, we need to do is we have to learn to live with this COVID-19. I've been saying this earlier also, that this disease is not going to go and more diseases are going to come in. So as long as government is very strict on the protocols of wearing masks and sanitization and other things, but we should not stop travel because travel has a multiplier effect on job creation and on the economy. And Maldives had started tourism, their economy is good. Sri Lanka had stopped tourism completely and now you know what their economy is. So if you stop tourism, then it has a chain reaction on the air conditioning industry, on the food industry, on the dry cleaning industry. Tourism creates millions of jobs. 1 out of every 9 jobs in the world that are created is in tourism. So we need to have a proper integrated approach in consultation with the tourist guides, tour operators, the tourist transporters, the travel agents, the hoteliers, the restaurant owners, the souvenir shop owners who benefit from tourism.
From the demand side, things might be starting to look up. Are you seeing or do you see chances of fresh investment into the sector? And maybe they will benefit from the new announcement, the cabinet decision that has happened recently.
Yeah, if someone wants to make a fresh investment, but from my understanding, this is not for the fresh investment. This is for people who have already taken loan and they finding it difficult to repay those loans. So they can take more loans on the sovereign guarantee of the government. And basically, these are loans being taken from the banks. It depends. You have to do a cost-benefit analysis. Every businessman does a cost-benefit analysis. that whether it is worth for him to go into a debt trap or he'll manage the way he has been managing for the last 2.5 to 3 years.
Why do you say a debt trap?
Because now international tourism has not revived. Most of the tour operators were dependent on international tourism. As far as domestic tourism is concerned, people are booking on the net. The tour operator or the middleman is not benefiting, and they get the car from the hotels only, and hotels are benefiting. But as far as the international tourism is concerned, as the cost of airfare and the cost of hotels has become prohibitive and there is no capping, then he finds it cheaper to go to Sri Lanka or go to Malaysia or to Singapore or even to Dubai than to come to India. Traditionally, yes, India was an affordable and reasonable destination, but now I think everyone is trying to cash on the pent-up demand that has suddenly arisen. With the result, the international tourists are finding India an expensive destination as of now.
Traditionally, from what I understand, that there have been high spenders that have been coming to India as far as the foreign tourists goes. Our total number of foreign travelers may not have been that high, but the expenditure per head that they took is quite high compared to some of the other countries. Isn't that right?
Why? Because no one comes to India for 2 days or 3 nights, right?
Yeah.
But for a small place like Singapore or Malaysia or Kuala Lumpur or Thailand or Sri Lanka or Maldives, 3 nights, 4 days is enough to get an experience. But India is a subcontinent.
Yeah.
If you want to visit India, then it has to be at least 13 to 14 days tour. Even if you do the Northern India circuit, it takes about 5 to 10 days. And then if one wants to go to Goa or one wants to go to Kerala, another 5 days. So it is 14 to 15 days. So in 15 days, the average spending definitely increases. And compared to another destination where you're only going for 2 days or 3 days, naturally you spend less.
Now, because you said that tourists in India don't come for 2 or 3 days, they come for an extended time period. And of course, there's a lot of repeat customer also that we get in tourism. What do you think of the current visa regimen? How do you think is that a hurdle, if at all, for foreign travel?
No, visa used to be a hurdle, but it is no longer a hurdle because we have e-visa now. And we fought very hard. It took us 20 years to get e-visa. And when Arun Jaitley ji was the finance minister, he announced it. And he listened to our demand. So e-visa is very good. It is encouraging for people to come. But at the same time, people have started coming. I'm not saying that there are no tourists coming. But there is this Arogya Setu app. You have to download and you have to fill in everything. Now, when there is a double vaccination and you're checking on the double vaccination at the airport, maximum you can say is 48 hours or 24 hours, get another negative test. So if you have double vaccination and you have a booster and you have a negative COVID test, then why should you ask people to fill this Arogya Setu app? Because a lot of people are not that much computer literate. And a lot of people, when they come at the airport, they ask, have you filled Arogya Setu app? People say, what is it? Then if they have reached early, then they can be helped to fill it. But otherwise, it's unnecessary hassle.
A lot of important points there by Dr. Goyal. There's a lot of expectations that tourism and hospitality industry still has from the government, whether it is the interest-free loans or that India take on the whole digital marketing of itself as a destination on a global stage much more seriously. And last but not the least, we have to learn to live with the pandemic. As Dr. Goyal pointed out, today there's COVID, tomorrow there can be more diseases. We have to be more prepared to handle them and make sure that they don't affect our economy as much. Thank you so much, Dr. Goyal, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts on this subject.
Thank you very much.
You were listening to a discussion on Cabinet decision for giving a boost to tourism in India. The participants were Dr. Subhash Goyal, Tourism and Hospitality Sector Expert, and Ruchika Chitravanshi, Journalist. This program was produced and presented by the News Services Division of All India Radio. You can listen to it on our mobile app, News on AIR. This program is also available on our YouTube channel, News on AIR Official. You may email your opinion about this program at airnsttalks@gmail.com.